Okay, well, welcome along to another SBK preview. This time we will be previewing the Ebor Festival, which kicks off on Wednesday at York, the Knavesmire, one of the most popular tracks in the country. It's a beautiful racecourse, always kept in splendid condition, and they're looking forward to some mighty racing. And also, luckily, last time we were together, we were discussing the perils of the weather looking towards Goodwood. But thankfully, it looks like it's been pretty fair for York in the lead up. And the ground at the moment is good, which is always nice to see. It's fair for all horses. A sprinkling of rain coming in and around, but it makes it much easier for us as punters. And it means that we'll probably, hopefully, get some fair field sizes because we've got a lot of non-runners at Goodwood, and we did it at the end of Royal Ascot as well. So York is looking to have a really nice week ahead of it. As always, SBK are best odds for every race throughout the week at York. So without further ado, it's brilliant to have Tom Collins back with me to go through the few days that we have ahead. So hi, Tom, and how are you? How has punting been since I last saw you?
Evening, Jess. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. Got a bit of a cough. It's not COVID, don't worry. Just a bit of a cough. I think too much talking and cheering on some horses and at the Olympics as well. It's been brilliant. Punting form, been decent. York, though, is one of my bogey tracks. I have to say, I'm a bit in and out. Hopefully this week's going to be very successful.
Interesting you say that, because in general, York is quite a fair track, isn't it? It's a beautiful, big galloping track. There's not normally that many hiding places, whereas Goodwood can be a little bit more tricky in terms of from a punting angle. But it tends to be one of a lot of jockeys' favourite tracks to ride at. So interesting you say that. But as you say, we've got plenty of nice horses to look forward to seeing and some really competitive races. We'll get cracking. We'll start on Wednesday, and as we speak, these are the races that we have the final decks for. Many of them we're still at entry stage, but we've got the decks for Wednesday through this morning. And the Tattersall's Acomb Stakes over the 7 furlongs for 2-year-olds will be the first race we'll look at. And sadly, this is one of the races that doesn't have a huge amount of horses, but there is a lot of quality despite the lack of quantity. Dabawi Legend heads the market for James Daw and Hugo Palmer, was explosive on debut. But Tom, outside of that, you're looking at a horse that isn't top of the market, but represents a team that have just been doing so well with their juveniles.
Yes, Eraz is the selection. Now, I'm glad we're starting off with this race, only 5 runners. I think the reason why York is one of my bogey tracks on occasion is because of the big fields. It's so hard to find winners because you get such tight-knit handicaps, luck in running and whatnot. 5 runners in the Acomb, so best bet of the week. We're starting on the right note. Eraz in here for Richard Hannon. Richard Hannon used to, Richard Hannon Sr. and Richard Hannon Jr., when he started his training career, used to have his 2-year-olds ready first time up. Doesn't anymore, likes the longer term approach. And I was so impressed with how Eraz ran on debut. Completely missed the start, travelled in rear, looked very green, but learned on the job. Only got beat 2 lengths at the line at Newmarket on the July course by a horse called Noble Truth, who is reopposing in this race in the Acomb. Eraz hit the line so powerfully that day. When he met the rising ground, he kicked up and passed 10 horses. It was a real promising performance. And then last time at Ascot, he just went whoosh. Now, that probably wasn't the best race. The second horse, Buoyant, has lost since. I think the fourth has lost tonight, Watcher, in a race at Windsor. However, the way he put those horses to bed was just ridiculously impressive. He posted the fastest 3 furlongs, the fastest sectional in the final 3 furlongs, and he hit the line that day in a sub-12-second sectional without Jim Crowley having to push him out at all. It was ridiculously impressive. The step up to 7 furlongs is going to suit him from 6. I like the stiff track as well at York. I can't see him being beaten. So hopefully we're going to kick off with a banker here, Jess.
Well, let's hope so. As you say, this horse was like so impressed and stepped up big time from that first run. He's currently 11-4 with SBK as we speak. As you say, he is stepping up in trip, but he does reoppose a horse that has beaten him so far. But the idea is that he's going to improve again. Interestingly, Tom, Richard Hannon hasn't had a horse run in this race for a couple of years. It's a race that's kind of passed him by as well. The last 10 years, he hasn't had a winner. He had Watan, who ran in it a few years ago, who was second as a beaten favourite. But just a race that he hasn't targeted a huge amount. I know the murmurings in the yard is that this horse has been, always been seen as a serious horse. So they've got an exceptional group of 2-year-olds as well. So he'll be one to keep an eye on. Derby Legend, I have been told, again, everyone likes to think their juveniles are the best, but this is apparently the best that they had in their yard. The yard also responsible for Ebor River as well as a 2-year-old, so they'll be really looking forward to it. But the form with that horse is not as good as others either, so probably doesn't really deserve to be the favourite in my mind. Eras, I agree with you, Tom, has got a fantastic chance, and at the prices at 11-4 is probably worth siding with. So we're getting our week off to a great start. Looking forward to that in what is a small field. We'll head on into the Great Voltigeur, the Group 2 on Wednesday as well, over 1 mile and 4 furlongs. Now, this is a race, again, hasn't attracted a massive field, only 8 runners, but that's probably better in terms of our each way punting if we want to. But I think, Tom, the horse that you're picking probably isn't much of an each way bet. Tell me why you're looking at the Royal Ascot winner, Kamari.
Yeah, there will be some bigger price tips, I promise you. But I like the favourite here, Kamari for Charlie Appleby. He's another really impressive up-and-coming horse. I looked at this field and it just lacks strength and depth. You look at your Beer, Youth Spirit. We've seen these horses third realm many occasions. They've all been beaten recently, kind of running against the same opposition. I like the move from Charlie Appleby to come here for the Great Voltigeur after running in the Queen's Vase. Had a look through the Roll of Honour of both races. Winners of the Queen's Vase coming to the Great Voltigeur. There's never been a horse that's won both races. I think Kamari is going to be the first. He was so impressive at Ascot. Though it has to be said, William Buick did have him in the prime position throughout. The way he fended off Wordsworth, who, in my opinion, is a better horse than High Definition. High Definition opposes him here at York. I think this is a relatively easy test for Kamari. Now, he has to give him £3, which is a bit of a, it's a worry because you can't really give weight away at this stage of their career with these horses that are quite well put together. I mean, Kamari's rated 109, High Definition 113, and he has to give him £3. So a look at official ratings would suggest High Definition's the horse to be on. But I think there's plenty of room for improvement for Kamari. Only his 4th start, bang form team. Arguably their best 3-year-old aside from Adiyar. And well, I mean, I think he could develop into the best 3-year-old. This is going to be clickbait because everyone's going to be like, well, he's not. No, he's not, because Adiyar and Hurricane Lane. I think he could develop in time to be the best 3-year-old here.
Interesting, and the form works out works out with Hurricane Lane, with Wordsworth coming behind him a couple of times since the Queen's Vase, which is sort of adds up nicely. Wordsworth has run quite a lot since the Queen's Vase. Charlie Appleby has been sort of at pains to run Kamari too often. He is a gelding. He probably is the ideal type of St. Leger horse, but because he is a gelding, he can't go there. So this is the kind of race that it's the only sort of race that he sort of can run in. But interesting, you think he's the best 3-year-old in their team, considering the strength that they have. As you say, it's a trappy race. Also, the Ballydoyle team, they have 3 runners. So from a tactics point of view, it looks like they're going to set it up to try and give High Definition the best opportunity. But Kamari seems fairly straightforward, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. I think the Mediterranean's going to go on. He led in the Grand Prix de Paris last time. He'll probably be the pacemaker in here. Wayne Lorden's done pacemaking duties before for Ian O'Brien. But that's going to suit Kamari. We saw at Ascot, he just travelled in behind the leader in the Queen's Vase, picked up immediately as soon as William Buick asked for maximum effort. I think it's going to be a similar kind of story in this race. I think he's a worthy market leader.
Yeah, he's currently 13-5 as we speak. So I think that's quite a safe 2 options, but good 2 options. At the price is not a bad double. But we move on to the Juddmonte, and that's the race that we really want to have a good chat about, Tom, because it's always been, for the last few years, it's been the highlight of everyone's summers. It's really stood out as a proper international and well named for that reason, international race. That horses that run in here, it's viewed all over the world as a race that brings out the best of the European horses over this distance. Obviously, today we've had a big setback for the race. St. Mark's Basilica is a non-runner, and that's a real disappointment because we were so looking forward to seeing him in this race. Mishriff is now favourite, and the good thing is that the Ballytool team have been sporting. They've got Love in there to reoppose Mishriff. Alcohol Free is the big talking horse as well. But you aren't going to go near either of those three. And you're going to go for the joker of the pack, who I don't know. I wasn't sure about that last run. There's question marks hanging around Mahathir for me, but 6-1. You like him, Tom? You're going to have to prove me wrong.
Yeah, I do like him. The thing is, I was looking at these races, it was before St Mark's Basilica came out. There were 8 runners in this field. I thought he was a great each way bet, Mahathir. We've seen Mishrif this year, brilliant in the Saudi Cup, phenomenal performance. Last twice, I've been a little bit disappointed by him. Now, obviously, he's performed to a high level, but Mishrif in the Saudi Cup wasn't the Mishrif we've seen the last twice, in my opinion. Alcohol Free is a brilliant filly, phenomenal filly, but fillies just don't generally win this race. I mean, if you look through the Roll of Honour, you've got Arabian Queen in there, but the majority of the winners are top colts or geldings. Love is in there as well, but clearly wasn't going to be the first string. And now, like, the backup plan, Ryan's going to go forward, I think, on Love. Should have done that last time out, in my opinion. It didn't work out for her the way she was ridden. I think Mahathir is the best bet in here. Whether it's each way now with just the 2 places or win only, I think this could be another huge day for Shadwell. At this festival last year, the Ebor Festival at York, on the Nunthorpe day, they had 3 group winners. They had Batash in the Nunthorpe, they had Minzal in the Jim Crack, I think, and Embahar as well. I think this could be another very good day for Shadwell. Their horses do very well at York. Mahathir last time out, yes, was disappointing. But to my view, he was pace compromised. They didn't go hard enough for him. He was held up. He got within half a length of Bangkok. Now, on that form, he's got no chance. The fact that he was beaten half a length by Bangkok. Bangkok wouldn't be in the finish here. However, prior to that, he looked a real up-and-coming middle distance horse. We didn't even see him win last year. He only won his first race in March. He's still improving. He's with the right trainer, William Haggis. He's going to get quick ground, which is why he bypassed the Derby early in the season, because the ground went against him. I wouldn't be surprised if the money came from Mahathir. And if he returns to something like his Hampton Court victory at Royal Ascot, I think he's going to play a big role.
Okay, so talk to me a bit more about this York run, because you say that it just didn't pan out for him, but he came there tanking. He had the race in the palm of his hands. I thought his head carriage was a bit awkward as well, and he just looked like he didn't want it. He looked like he wasn't really giving Jim Crowley anything. It was he should be beating Bangkok. Like, the horses, got so much respect for him, but you should be winning that and winning it easily if you were a Derby hope, a Derby prospect. And I don't know, in terms of this race with the small field, they're gonna the pace, where is it really going to come from? What's Ryan Moore going to do with Love? Is he going to try and make more use of her? How is this race going to develop to benefit Mahathir where it didn't last time? I'm just can't really see how it's going to benefit him. It might just pan out exactly like it did last time.
It could do, and that is the risk you are taking. But you're getting a reasonable price at 13-2 on Mahathir. Last time out, I think they got the tactics wrong, because Montathan was the leader for William Haggis, owner mate, stable mate of Mahathir.
Yeah, and probably led for him as well.
True.
Yeah.
I just think Leon Jones probably didn't set the right kind of gallop, and at the same time, Jim Crowley was 5 lengths off the back. Like, he gave Mahathir a lot to do, and Mahathir still hit the front in that race. Yes, lugged in slightly to the left, went past Bangkok originally, and then got repassed, which I can see why you'd be put off by that. I think I'm very forgiving, Jess. I want to give him another chance. Maybe if Love goes forward, it will suit Mahathir. I don't think he needs a fast gallop. I just think he needs to be well positioned in his races. We've seen him win small field races already. I think maybe Jim Crowley be a bit more aware this time on Mahathir. I think last time he just thought this horse is just going to breeze past the field. They thought he was by far the best in the race, and it just didn't work out. Give him one more shot in here.
Yeah, interesting. It'll be this is a very tactically a fascinating race for me. I feel Ryan Moore probably will make more use of Love, like he did in the St James's Palace. Sorry, not St James's Palace, Prince of Wales. I think, but she's got something to prove after quite an awkward display in the King George. But the form there shows that Mishrif is the one to beat, as the betting suggests. From a pedigree angle, Alcohol Free shouldn't be winning this race, but I love her. I think that she's done nothing wrong. The form of Poetic Flair was boosted, if anything, on the weekend. It is a bit of a gamble, the step up and trip, but she gets a good weight advantage of the others, and she comes in flying form. So it's very sporting them to run her. Yes, fillies don't have a great record But in a race that there's no St. Mark's Basilica, there's no standout for me. There are question marks hanging up over a few. I'm happy to side with alcohol free. But Tom, it's a great race regardless. It's just going to be quite, as we say, fascinating sort of tactically.